Can't you see the sun is shining? It's good for growing things outside. Well, lately I've been in the backyard. I'll show you how it's going. This song is meant to teach you to keep a garden growing. Digging in the soil, maybe plant some seeds. We're making a real connection, tending to the weeds right now. And we could be tending all the time. Can't you see the sun is shining? It's good for growing things outside. But just maybe I can grow chrysanthemums, marigolds, hydrangeas, lavender and daisies, irises, azaleas, dahlias and peonies, lots of big sunflowers.
Hi, John here again. It's a January day, late January in Fort Myers, Florida, and we're at the Life Plan community of Cypress Cove. And these happy gardeners are going to tell us about the raised gardens, which are located at the end of the native plant garden.
Right.
Doris.
Right.
Doris DeWitt, are you kind of like the organizer of this thing?
I was asked by two people who had done this before to be the overseer of these 18 raised gardens, and I said, sure, I could do that.
Is that the real title? You're the overseer?
I don't know what my title is, but
yes,
I do.
Yes, she is.
I oversee the gardens and make sure that they're tended and somebody's tending them and we're all good to go.
Who knows the history of these gardens?
The original gardens were at where the cottage is now, on the exact next to the as you make the turn where the electrical utility is located.
What, before it was built?
Before it was built.
Yeah.
In about 2015 or 16, they were moved here to allow for the construction of the cottage.
Okay. Is this like the other groups, like the yacht club and the bocce? A resident started it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
Still completely resident.
Yes.
Resident oriented. Yes.
Oriented.
Right.
But Carol Asperlak, who's the coordinator of volunteers, is the Cypress Cove person that I interface with.
Yeah.
Telling her who's got which garden and how things are going.
Okay. Now, you had what I'd call a major change this year, where all of the gardens were replaced.
Right. After Ian.
Yeah.
Mary Franklin gave us the go-ahead to replace all the gardens. The wood had rotted and they were just in bad shape. So many people decided that was it. They weren't going to garden anymore. And we had 18 gardens and they did them one at a time. And it started in last year, early 2024, and by this year in the fall, they were all complete.
Yeah. And who's they? Who did it?
Maintenance.
Wonderful maintenance guy.
Jacob, Raphael, and Rock were the three that Rock started, and then Raphael and Jacob took over.
I love to just walk down here and sit and watch the butterflies and the bees. I mean, they're all over the place.
Right. That's really nice when people come down. They'll see the butterflies on the zinnias particularly. They love the zinnias. And the bees are around, and yeah, it's a real serene place. If you come down, you can really, and the hawk is here too, so we see him once in a while.
Let's go see some gardens.
All right, let's do that. Okay, this is my garden. These are gaillardias, pentas.
Take two.
This here is a new plant I just put in. It'll open up into yellow flowers. This is zinnia that has reseeded itself from last year. Salvia. And I have new zinnias coming up here.
I see a butterfly shadow.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, you and number 3 both have flowers that
Right.
really draw them.
Yes, well, they love the zinnias. The butterflies love the zinnias. And this is Phyllis. This is her garden. And she's put in all of these because she does the bouquets for the cottage and the lodge for birthdays and those two
These are Kentucky Wonder pole beans. The poles aren't here yet because they haven't started to shoot, but they'll get about 4 feet high and be loaded with string beans of sorts and harvestable in about 2.5 months.
What are you going to do with the beans when they're mature?
We'll probably eat one mess of them and give it up.
Where did your farmer's tractor come from?
No, I do this in out of respect to my parents, because I grew up on basically a subsistence farm, and we grew edamame, milo, Kentucky Wonder beans, black-eyed peas, and so forth for survival. And so out of memory and nostalgia for yesterday, this bed makes for a nice remembrance of my parentage.
Nancy Smith, where did the saying come from?
Well, that saying was something my son did in first grade.
He wrote that?
He did that for a little picture that he had grown, and it ended up that he became a horticulturalist. And when we were planning what we should have for the sign, he said, Ma, remember what I said? And so that's what we've done.
I like it. I like that. So what do we got here?
Well, I do mostly food and herbs. And I had on this rack pickles, cucumbers, and they have gone by, and my snow peas are starting. And they will be climbing up the whole fence. I did real well with them last year, and I hope I can do it again. And this purple is red cabbage, which will be my salad. And I've got carrots starting so I can have a good coleslaw. These are 2 pineapples. This one will probably give me a fruit before the year's out. It takes 2 years for a pineapple. You take the top of a pineapple that you buy at Publix, push the top back into the ground. It'll look like that for a while, and then finally like this, and it will create a fruit. And it's so much better than what you get in the stores.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
This is Phyllis Scrogie's other garden. One of the most delightful things about a garden is the anticipation it produces. Phyllis isn't here today, but those are her black cherry tomatoes, and they will be turned deep red, and then they're very sweet. So they haven't quite matured yet.
They're all over it.
Yep. And then she's planted beets, carrots, and this is one of her carrots. There are many colors, and this one is purple. And she's had other colors come out. They're different colors, the carrots.
How do you decide what you're going to plant?
Well, I planted, I've got a couple of flowers there, you see. Those are petunias and a marigold. And my mother always had petunias and marigolds. And we've always had tomatoes. And when I started, I just went over to Lowe's and started looking for seeds and plants. And I grew, I had 4 really nice broccoli heads here, and I pulled them up.
Okay.
I've already got them. Finish. As you can see, these are Blue Lake green beans. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And I got some jalapeno peppers here. See, there's some peppers on there.
You like that hot stuff?
Yeah, I do. And then over here, this is going to be a pink tomato. It's called a Brandywine tomato that we used to grow at home once in a while. Most of them were red, but we like these, and that's going to be a yellow tomato over there. They're just now starting to bloom.
Well, what's the most enjoyable part about having a garden?
Just watching it grow.
Just watching it.
It gives me something to do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of these plants are native plants that grow here all year round. I lived on Sanibel and got acquainted with the native plant nursery over there and like the native plants. These tomato plants, the tomatoes are called Everglades.
I see some.
And yep, they a little bigger, a little smaller than a cherry tomato, but they're very sweet. This plant's gone through all the hurricanes. It came up, the cherries will drop, and then they'll come back up again. You know, this is what's called blue curl. It does have a flower on it, if you can see it down here.
Yeah.
That's
There's a little bitty
the little blue curl flower. That's what it is. Jamaica caper, and this one I started as seeds. That's a lignavite, and then the Tampa verbena just kind of covers it so I don't have to weed it.
Well, you like native plants. Do you have anything at all to do with the native plant garden?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Tuesday mornings, 9 o'clock. Anybody wants to come down and join us is welcome to do that.
And you really need some help right now,
Absolutely.
'cause you've
Always.
lost a couple of the real workhorses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And up north, I gardened and did more gardening, but you have to understand, we came from a farm. And so up north, I always had my gardens in order. I grew mostly bulbs because, you know, you start with the crocus and you have your tulips and flags and your marigolds, and it was a process. There was always something blooming. So I will be honest, I'm having a lot of difficulty knowing this Florida weather and change, but my goal was I got this chalk pack full of flowers so I don't have to pull weeds. And before Christmas, I needed some yellow on this end. And so what I did was I found these poinsettias. Well, then, you know, you can get these poinsettias pretty cheap, and they don't do real well inside with the air conditioning and things. So they started looking a little dismal. So I decided I'm bringing these out. So up until we had one night of cold weather, these were gorgeous. But you can see they got tipped a little bit by the cold weather. But they're growing, and my philosophy is you know, you let things grow, and but even if it flowers, and I've got something here that is interesting, and I'm not sure what it is, and so my husband says, it doesn't matter what it is, it's a weed. And so you pull it out.
I have 3 herbs, the parsley, the basil, and the rosemary, and I want to keep those. Parsley's taken over kind of, and then the rest I want to be flowers, and I think I'm going to follow Sandra's idea and fill it in more so I don't have to think about weeds. I liked that a lot. We learned from each other, I think. And so the rest I'm going to get are flowers, and I want to get some that will attract the butterflies because they really are wonderful here. And I'd like to have some that attract. So I'm going to fill it in with more flowers. And the joy I have is watching them grow. I just love to see them grow. That something starts so small and actually grows, and I planted it. Wow, you know.
Do you talk to them?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Do
Definitely.
they talk back?
No, but I think they grow better.
One of our prize gardeners was Andy, and Andy and Grace Hamilton lived here. Andy passed away this past year. He had this large commercial farm in New Jersey before he came here. And once you start growing, you have to keep growing. So he had a garden over here that I want to show you.
Okay.
Now, when he grew flowers, he obviously would get a packet of seeds. But where we would get a little packet of seeds that would be enough for our gardens, he would always buy wholesale from the big places. So we have all kinds of his plants. And when his children cleaned out his apartment, they gave us,
Look at some bees here. Oh.
which they really love. So he was growing this garden so that people could cut these flowers and make the little bouquets for the birthdays for folks who were in any of the medical units, which is why it's so happy down here. And the garden next to it also has some of Andy's plants. And as long as he still has seeds, we'll be able to plant some and grow some for the flowers for the medical folks when they have their birthdays. We have a little bit of memory from him this way, and I know he's happy he's got plants down here.
This is Sandy and Dave Wolf's garden. Sandy made a Matilda, our resident watcher over the gardens. And she has birdhouses that Dave has made and the picket fence that Dave had made. So they have their own decorations that they put in, and that's fine. And all their flowers, and they have a very pretty garden.
Doris, I could imagine there could be several ways to get involved with raised gardens. One might be a share, like maybe somebody needs a little help with their garden and they'd welcome a share. Does anybody ever do that?
No, one of the rules of having the garden is a single owner has the garden and they have to be able to take care of it.
If somebody's interested in the gardens or gardening, what should they do?
They should contact me, or they can go see Carol Spurlock in the volunteer desk, and they can, email me, contact me by phone, and I'd be happy to give them a tour of the garden and show them which ones are available.
Round, touching down and catching a buzz on the breeze, and she's an aviator, pollinator, find the pollen, haul it all up. It's so easy when the real world looks so lovely and green. Do we really need a bunch of flashing lights on a screen? Whoa, no. Take life slow.